wasn't that long ago, in 2006, that a young man was found in a very confused state in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. He was wearing old-fashioned clothes and had an old camera dangling from his neck. People thought he was crazy, but little did they know they were about to become part of a time travel story. Welcome back, viewers, to Dark Venture Video. The man identified himself as Sergey. When the police asked for his ID, it was issued by a country that no longer existed. Yes, this ID was from the Soviet Union era. Now, you all know that Ukraine was once part of the Soviet Union, and at the time of this incident, 2 decades had passed since the Soviet Union's dissolution. It's not that Ukrainian police hadn't seen Soviet Union IDs before, but this man looked 20 to 25 years old, and his date of birth on the ID was shown as 1932. Not just the date of birth, but the picture on the ID was also his. The police couldn't digest this whole situation. How could a person born in 1932 look 20 to 25 years old, even after 74 years in 2006? They asked Sergey what the date was today, and after a moment's thought, he replied, April 23, 1958. This was the point when the police thought this person was definitely crazy. They took him to a mental hospital where Dr. Pavlov Kutrikov assessed his mental health. Sergey also couldn't understand what was happening to him. The doctor asked if he remembered how he came directly from 1958 to 2006. He said that he had gone out for a city walk during the day to take good photographs. Then, he saw a strange object flying in the sky. The doctor asked what the object looked like, and he said he couldn't explain, but he had taken its picture with his camera. Saying this, he extended his camera. The doctor was very surprised to hear this, but their surprise increased even more when they saw the camera, which was a very old Yashica Flex camera. Looking at the condition of this camera, it didn't seem like an old camera. The problem was extracting photos from this camera, because the roll that was used in it had been discontinued in the 1970s. An expert named Adam Puizanami was called, who read the date written on the camera roll and found that it was manufactured in 1956. He developed the photographs, and then things became even more confusing. The photographs were very old pictures of Kiev City. Cars, buildings, and street signs, everything. There were also some buildings that had been demolished later, and in front of those buildings were some pictures of Sergey and his girlfriend. This was the same Sergey who looked the same in the 48-year-old pictures, in the same condition, in the same clothes, sitting in front of the doctor. And in the last photo of the roll, as Sergey had mentioned, an unidentified flying object was visible. Seeing all this, it was very difficult for the doctor to believe. By this time, the doctor had no option but to believe that this person had time traveled from 1958 to 2006. While the doctor was in this dilemma, the man left the room, closed the door, and never returned. Sergey Ponomarenko had disappeared without a trace. If he left anything behind, it was this camera, some photographs, and his strange story. A story, however, that became more and more complicated the more one tried to understand it. When the police investigated the case, it was found that a person named Sergey Ponomarenko had indeed disappeared from Kiev in 1960. The girl with him in the photographs was also tracked down, who is now a 70-year-old woman. She told the police that Sergey had indeed disappeared in 1958, but had returned within a few days. He had disappeared for only as long as he appeared in 2006. But according to that woman, he disappeared again in 1960, and has not returned since. But there's another twist to the story. Years later, she received a photo of Sergey with a note that read, 2015. In this photo, Sergey looks older, and the background shows a city. The only difference is that the city is filled with skyscrapers. It was also written in the note that he would return soon, but for some reason, that couldn't happen. This interesting story of Sergei Ponomarenko was shown on a Ukrainian TV show and quickly went viral on the internet. But the question is this story really true? Before we get to that, let's understand if time travel is even possible. There's no doubt that we are all time traveling in a way. Time travel into the future. Every hour we spend reveals that we are moving hour by hour towards the future. But if someone, by any means, spends an hour in just half an hour, then they will go half an hour into the future compared to others. This concept was first given by Albert Einstein in his theory of special relativity, according to which time does not pass uniformly in space, but it depends on the object's speed and its mass. Just as oxygen levels change at different altitudes, similarly in space, time also depends on the object's speed and mass. We live on Earth, so our time depends on Earth's mass and its speed. But if we go to Jupiter, which has a much larger mass, time will pass slower there. According to the theory, the higher the speed, the slower time will pass. So, if we sit in a spaceship that travels through the universe at the speed of light for 5 years and then returns to Earth, according to our clock, only 5 years would have passed, but on Earth, 36 years would have passed. The difference in time noted on both clocks is called time dilation. To prove Einstein's theory, the Haefel-Keating experiment was also conducted in 1971. In this, a total of 12 atomic clocks were set at the same time. 4 clocks were loaded onto a plane and set towards the east, 4 towards the west, and the last 4 were left on Earth. When both planes returned after circling the entire Earth, a significant difference was observed in their clocks. The clocks of the planes that went towards the east were 59 nanoseconds slower compared to the clocks on the ground, gloves. This means time passed slower for them. And the clock of the plane that went towards the west was 273 nanoseconds ahead. The difference between east and west occurred because our Earth rotates in an anti-clockwise direction. The second way to time travel into the future is gravity. According to Einstein's general relativity, the greater the gravity, the slower time will pass. This theory was also proven with the help of an experiment in 2010. One atomic clock was placed at the bottom of a shelf, and another on the shelf 33 centimeters above. The clock closer to the ground had more gravity. Because of this, it was running slower than the top clock. This difference was very small, because 33 centimeters is not that big a distance. But it is certain that if we go to a place where gravity is very high, like in a black hole, our time will pass much slower compared to the time spent on Earth. This is also shown in the movie Interstellar, where they are on a planet near a black hole. 1 hour spent there is equivalent to 7 years on Earth. The change in time due to speed and gravity is so common that GPS satellites, which have the world's most accurate clocks installed, also have to be matched repeatedly with Earth's time because these satellites are constantly orbiting Earth at a speed of 11,300 kilometers per hour. Because of this, their clocks fall behind. If their time is not set repeatedly, our phones would not be able to tell us our exact location. We have discussed time travel into the future. This is theoretically possible, but according to science, it is practically impossible because building a spacecraft that can travel at the speed of light is currently impossible for us. To time travel through gravity, we would also have to go near a nearby black hole, which is almost 1560 light-years away. Perhaps in the future, humans will be able to build something like this, and the mystery of time travel can be solved. But how much truth is there in the story of Sergei Ponomarenko? Actually, this story was broadcast in 2012 on a Ukrainian TV show called Aliens. This story was shown in the 3rd episode of this reality program, Time Traveler. A big loophole emerged in the CCTV video of Sergei Ponomarenko with the doctor. The date visible in it is Wednesday, April 23, 2006, but looking at the calendar, it is a Sunday. This means the video was recorded separately, and the time was added later. Additionally, experts believe that the stamp seen on Sergei Ponomarenko's ID is different from the stamps of that era. And finally, the 2015 photo, in which many buildings are visible in the background. But if you look closely, many of the buildings are similar, which means this image is photoshopped. The police investigation related to this incident is not recorded anywhere. And if Dr. Pavlov Kutrikov is such a famous doctor, why isn't his name on any website on the internet? The show's story was very well planned, but internet users believe that it was only created for the show's ratings. Confusion about the topic of time travel arises when we start thinking that if time travel into the future is possible, then it might also be possible to travel into the past. This concept has also been shown in many science fiction movies, but the scientific community believes that doing so is not possible because it gives rise to paradoxes. Suppose you go 10 years into the past in a time machine and stop that time machine from ever being built. Then how did you get there? This situation is called the time travel paradox. In 2009, Stephen Hawking arranged a party where he was the only one present. The strange thing about this party was that he made the invitation public a year later and said that if there was any time traveler, they could go a year into the past and attend the party. This was his way of explaining that time travel into the past is not possible. Hopefully, in this video from Dark Venture, the topic of time travel has been largely understood by you. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.